Welcome back to another episode of Balanced and Boujee. Today I have a dear friend with me and also a very knowledgeable health and wellness coach, Lauren Gilchrist. So, Lauren, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Brooke. I'm excited to be here. As Brooke said, my name is Lauren Gilchrist. I'm a national board certified health and wellness coach, and I'm also certified as a personal trainer. If you're listening to this and you don't know what a health coach is, you are not alone. I get that question a lot. One way that I like to kind of describe it is being a health coach is kind of like being a personal trainer, but for the whole person. So while you can certainly focus on things like physical fitness and nutrition and kind of some of those standard things you think of when you think of wellness related coaching, you also can focus on things like mindfulness or getting better sleep or non-toxic living like we're going to talk about today. So again, just really excited to be here, and I'm honored that you asked me to be on the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. I am so excited because I feel like we have so many great conversations that align with our audience. Lauren's one of those great friends that, we go on walks and we're talking about health and wellness, and we kind of weave our coaching into our conversations with one another. But specifically, your knowledge and background in the non-toxic living is huge. And it's something that I don't see a lot of coaches specializing in. So thank you too for being willing to share some of that information with our audience today. With that being said, let's give them your background. So, how did you get into this non toxic research and adjustments that you've made in your own life?
Yeah, so for me, my journey down the road of non-toxic living, it actually all started with issues I was having with one of my eyes. It was turning red and getting really irritated, and I started noticing that certain products seemed to trigger that. So for example, if I wore eyeliner or maybe I used a certain serum that day, my eye would turn red, but if I used a different serum or maybe just put moisturizer on that day, it would be totally fine. So for me, that was the first time I actually started looking into the ingredients, kind of trying to figure out what it was that was triggering it. And when I started looking into the ingredients, that's when I started realizing how toxic some of these ingredients are. So we're not only talking, irritants, but we're talking carcinogens and hormone disruptors. And that was incredibly alarming to see. It was also just as alarming to realize how unregulated some of these things, like the cosmetics industry, are, and to realize that unfortunately there really aren't laws in place to protect us.
Yeah.
We can't assume because something is on the shelves that it's safe for us. And it's really up to each of us to do our own research. So that was kind of my journey and what led me to that. And it was an unfortunate realization, but one that I am glad that I did figure out.
Absolutely. I feel like that aligns with a lot of what we've talked about in other areas of wellness on the podcast too, where unfortunately it does come down to like you have to be aware of what you're looking for and how, just be aware of how marketing affects it and that we live in a consumer-based world and not all products are created equal. And I heard a key thing in there too about like you listening to your body, right? Like you paid attention, you're like, what is going on here? Of course, sometimes it's driven by like it was uncomfortable or like it was something you couldn't avoid, like, your eyes getting red and hurting. But at the same time, too, I feel like, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, it's just like you pay attention to that, you make changes, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, this food doesn't feel good in my stomach, or like this product makes me feel this way. And it's this snowball effect. But while it's like more you have to learn and be aware of, it's also, I don't know, empowering or freeing to know how to do that for yourself in our world today.
Absolutely. I love how you said empowering there because, yeah, when you realize that by you making these changes, you can actually have a positive impact on your health and you can change
Yeah.
things for yourselves just by making these actually pretty simple swaps.
Yeah. So tell us more. Okay. I love you guys. Lauren's one of my like research friends. I love how much you truly dive into things that are important to you and that you're looking into. So tell us a little bit more about what we're facing, with when we go into the store. Like what is the world we live in right now and like toxic consumerism?
This is the unfortunate part is that these toxins are everywhere. So we're talking cosmetics, candles, nonstick cookware, cleaning products, mattresses. They're everywhere. There are a lot of things that just have, they smell good, but it's because of added fragrances, or they look pretty, but it's dyes that they've added to it, or it's just other chemical additives that are in it that are not healthy for us, but they make them more marketable. And so that's why they're in there. And it's really a rabbit hole when you start looking into it and you kind of start going down it and you realize how much of the stuff that is in the stores it's not safe for us.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I really want to emphasize, and I'm sure we'll get to this more throughout the podcast, is You don't have to be perfect. You do not need to try to completely make your entire life toxin free. But if you can make some of those bigger changes to things that you're using all the time, like maybe skincare ingredients or pots and pans or, the pillow that you're sleeping on every night, the
Mhm.
less you can expose yourself to just in your daily life, the better able to fight off these toxins your body will be able to be when you do go out into the world and you're inevitably exposed to these things.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I feel like I'm familiar with the candles and cosmetics and different things, especially marketed to women. But like mattresses and pillows, I have not thought of that. Really specific tangent. Can you tell me, because I'm really curious, like mattresses and pillows, what's the deal there?
Yeah, so you want to make sure, especially some of them that have like the memory foam and things like that, they're going to have a lot of chemicals in them. And so you need to watch out to make sure that mattresses, pillows, things like that you're getting that they are just clean ingredients and they're not full of chemicals. Because you also can think about, that new mattress or that kind of new furniture smell,
Hmm.
like what you're smelling, those could be chemicals that are off-gassing and you really don't want to be putting your face on that when you're sleeping at night. And so there's certifications out there. Green Guard Gold is one of them that you can look for. You can make sure your mattress is Green Guard Gold certified. And that just means that it's certified to not have these chemicals in it and you can, rest easy, no pun intended there.
Yeah.
That it's safe and it's healthy for you.
Hmm. Do they still have that new couch smell then? I wonder, because darn it, why are all the good smelling things bad?
The new floor smell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I will say I got a new mattress a couple of years ago and honestly really it didn't really have a smell, which I
Yeah.
was happy about, but
I guess that's true, right? Like in the real world, it's like should everything have a distinct smell? Probably not. But yeah, I think of like fresh paint in a house
yeah,
and different
yeah.
things that I've just like come to love aesthetically, and I'm probably like, "Oh my gosh, that's a fragrance just, built in or it's a chemical." Oh, okay. Well, that is really good to know because I've never thought of, I think of like the pillowcases and stuff that go on it.
Mhm.
But I've never thought of the memory phone and stuff and like what's actually making these up. And that I'm sure there's some breakdown that happens after use, right? Years of use, I mean, gross, but like body weight, sweat, stuff like that stuff's gonna come out. It's just what it's
I
gonna
think that's a
be.
fair point. And I'm glad you mentioned the bedding too as well, pillowcases. So for things like that, you can look for a certification called OEKO-TEX, OEKO dash TEX, TEX. And they have a lot of OEKO-TEX certified products just at Target, but you can look for towels and, sheets and blankets and things like that have that certification. And then again, you know that you're getting something that doesn't have all of these added chemicals and dyes to them.
Yeah. Okay. So think like linens, bedding, towels,
Correct. Yes.
Okotex.
Correct. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's easier to find than you'd think.
Yes. And when you said Target, I'm like, okay, homegirl, I probably most of us get majority of our things at Target, right? Let's be real. So
Absolutely.
this shirt is from Target, so we live there. We wanted to talk today a little bit too about like the US specifically when it comes to this because it's just another point to be aware of that we are probably more exposed to these toxins in our products than other countries, would you say?
Yes, unfortunately, that is very much the case. I think it comes down to the US just it has less regulations than other countries do. And historically, the US has taken a more reactive approach as opposed to a proactive approach when it comes to health and safety. So one example that I found that I think illustrates this is lead paint. So there were a few countries, I believe it was Austria, Belgium, and France, that banned lead paint in, I think it was, yeah, 1909. And the US, despite the fact that, these studies were coming out showing that lead paint is bad for you, the US did not ban lead paint until 1978. So I think, that's almost 70 years later. And
Yeah.
so we can't wait for these laws to catch up. We have to do our own research. I think optimistically, I do think that a lot of these ingredients that we're seeing on the shelves today that they will be banned in the future.
Mhm.
But I mean, it might be 70 years before we get to that point in the US. And by that point, for many of us, we're going to have done a lot of damage to ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I think that's, yeah, not something we can wait for to catch up.
Hmm. That's such a good eye-opening stat, and I think it really reflects an unfortunate truth that you said, yeah, that reactive. We've
Hmm.
talked in past episodes about how our healthcare system is very reactive. Proactive care for many things is just not prioritized because it's not money making. And gosh, it's like you were saying that about the lead paint. And I don't have the background knowledge of like why it took 70 years, but I'm like, what big money making, thing was behind that taking so long. Like that's what is in my brain, right? I feel like so many things, it's these big hitters, different brands, different companies, those kind of like big corporations that they are the ones that are probably driving a lot of these products because I mean, I'm sure too, I became aware that like what is it like P&G or Procter and Gamble and like Johnson and Johnson, you think of one brand, well, they're actually responsible for seven different brands, from like the most basic cheap version to the most luxury. And they weave similar chemicals through all of them. And when I learned that, I was like, what? So, we're kind of fighting these mega powerhouses to make these changes at the consumer level. And when there's money and lobbying and stuff involved, and for many people, this might not fall as a really important thing on their list, but day to day, we are seeing the effects of these chemicals and we're trying to make the change. Like, again, another rabbit hole that could probably be a whole nother episode, but it's just when I hear that, I'm like, what the heck, US? Like, why did it take so long? But you have to think too that it's just all a big part of this ever churning process to make money, to sell, and to convince the right people that they're doing enough damage.
Absolutely. I think you nailed that with that. And with the right big companies making enough money, they're going to be doing whatever they can to prevent some of these laws from going into place because I mean they're making good money as it is right now. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't want things to change.
And I know we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the ways these companies make change, right? The greenwashing, the natural, but we'll get into all of that. I am interested though, because you have some more statistics also about like animals and furry friends, which very important. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I was researching this on the human side, and then
Yeah.
I started coming across some stats and some information on the pet side of things. So I have a dog, so all of the research that I've done has been related to dogs, but I'm sure the same applies to cats as well. I would be very confident to say it's the same. But yeah, that is also pretty much completely unregulated, both when it comes to the ingredients that are in these products and then also the marketing. So any product can be on the shelf and claim to be all natural or organic, even if it is known to contain hormone disrupting or cancer causing ingredients. So that was again pretty shocking. I will say I realized when I was looking into this and then I was kind of looking at some of the products I was using on my then puppy at the time that his shampoo that I was washing him with had formaldehyde in it, which is a known carcinogen.
Oh
So
my
it
God.
was very alarming to realize just again that these products are just so unregulated.
Yeah. That's so, and I know even in, again, the human world, there is that issue with the label of like natural versus USDA certified organic. Like
Yeah.
you have to look for that label. But what you're saying is like in the research you found, they can label it organic for pets. And it's just like, it's not.
Yeah, it's like you said, if it has that, USDA, okay, now that's a
Okay.
different label. But they can pretty much use whatever terminology they want to in their marketing and labeling, and they can put the cute little green leaf on it to make it look healthy, and they can, call it eco, whatever, but it's not regulated.
Yeah. We're so protective of little babies. Like you think about the products for babies, and a lot of times they cut a lot of stuff out of those. Yeah, why aren't we doing the same for our animals? That's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, two more stats that I really wanted to share, kind of just going back to what you shared about, what we're exposed to in the US as opposed to maybe other countries.
Mhm.
So, in the European Union, there are 1,300 ingredients banned from cosmetic products. So, 1,300 ingredients they cannot use. In the US, that number is 11. So,
11.
yeah.
1,300 to
Uh-huh.
11.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So I feel like that kind of speaks for itself there. Another stat is that there are, thousands and thousands of chemicals that are used in cosmetic products. Less than 20% of these that are used in products in the US have been reviewed for safety. So we're talking 80%, there's no research on the safety aspect of these chemicals and these ingredients. And then the last one I wanted to mention is the last time Congress passed a federal law that regulates the safety of cosmetic ingredients was 1938. So it has been, we're coming up pretty quickly here on the 100-year anniversary of the last time Congress passed something related to cosmetics. And when you think about how far our understanding and science and all of this has come in almost 100 years, it is mind blowing to me that they have not come out with any other laws or regulations. They did, I will say they did pass a new law in 2022 that gives the FDA greater control over recalls, registration, labeling, things like that, but
Okay.
it does not restrict the harmful chemicals any further. So that we are still having to go back to 1938 for.
That's crazy. And when you put it in that perspective too, we are coming up on the 100-year anniversary of actually putting things into place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wasn't sunscreen not even really a thing like 50 years ago? I mean, how much we've learned and what? No, like I can go down these rabbit holes, you guys. I'm sure some of you guys know where it's just like we're not being protected by these protecting bodies, but it just goes to show when it has to filter through like our government, these big things. Like I'm sure there's great companies out there, but a lot of them are third party testing and they're trying to raise awareness. And in over 100 years, they have not. It has not been mainstream yet. Like,
Yes.
boy,
Yeah, we'll for sure get to this in this conversation. I don't want this to all just be like a downer, depressing
no, but
conversation of
it's so important.
but I think, yeah, there absolutely are the companies out there that are doing great work. They are making amazing products. They're making healthy products. They care about their consumers. They don't just care about the money side of things. Like they are out there. It's just that we have to kind of do the filtering ourselves to make sure that we are choosing the products from those great companies, which are the ones I want to support with my money anyway,
Yeah.
and not supporting some of these that are just using really questionable ingredients.
Absolutely. Like you were saying, and like I alluded to earlier, is sometimes we look at something new on the shelf and it might just be rebranded or they redid the packaging, but it's still the same company, might be one of those like mega companies, right? Like just because it is green, it says eco or it's light and it's naturey and there's a dog running through an open field looking healthy and vibrant, that does not mean you're supporting one of those companies. So I am excited too to like get into some of the tips and resources people can use because it's going to be a little bit of a research prep journey, to find these companies. But when I think about that, we're also so fortunate to live in an age where everything is at our fingertips with Google that you can review companies and people are posting their verification certifications on their websites to prove that they are USDA organic or they're third party tested. So we are, I think in this digital age, would you say it's like these companies are forced to have to show more? And it might not be as easy as walking into Target and just like picking out the one that's most appealing to you, but you could probably walk in and still find some of these products and or order them through Amazon for free shipping.
Definitely. If you're willing to put a little bit of research in,
Yeah.
it's not hard to find these products because it's not hard to use. I can talk a little bit more later about some of these tools, but there's tools that make it really easy to analyze the ingredient list. And you don't have to know what every ingredient means, all these things we can't pronounce. You don't need to know if they're okay or not. You can just put this ingredient list into some of these tools and it will just tell you, hey, this one's okay. This one you should avoid.
That's
So
awesome.
it's easy enough if you know where to look and know how to do the research.
Yeah, 100%.
So going back to some of the stuff we were talking about earlier with, the US versus other countries, you have lived in England for a year. So I'm curious if you could share I guess, was there anything for you living over there that you noticed that was different than, regulations or products you see on the shelf in the States? Did you, as a consumer, notice anything when you were over there?
Yeah, that's a super good question, actually. I did notice it a lot with food. Like they had a specific store. It's called Patrages. I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, but it's essentially the American store. Like you go there for all of the like neon orange Kraft mac and cheese and this super like for example, red dye 40 I think is banned over there, right? So my friend who was actually allergic to it, she's like, I can eat cherry based candy here because it doesn't have it. It's like beet juice or whatever it might be. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then sure enough, I'm going through the grocery store and yeah, like their boxed mac and cheese, not bright orange, or these different chips and things. Like I looked at the ingredients on the back and I'm like, yeah, it's still salt and deep fried potatoes, but so much cleaner. Like I could read the labels, right? And it's funny that you had to go to an American store to find, and people would say they're like, oh, like this tastes, it's so much sweeter, it's so much saltier, it's so much more hyper palatable. Food I noticed for sure. And then definitely cosmetic products too, especially because I mean, there are some things that like I have now since gotten better at. For example, like my laundry detergent and things. Like for a while I'm like, if this doesn't say stain fighting, odor eliminating for 48 hours, I'm not buying it because I'm walking around and I'm sweaty and I want this, to go a long way. And or even the ones that are like clean, right? The green ones that you read here and you're like, what? But over there, the ingredients were so minimal that I was almost like, is this gonna work? But it does. And like now I've even switched to a like a 4 ingredient eczema association passed like laundry detergent. It's a powder and it doesn't have a scent. And for a while I was like, this isn't gonna do anything. It's great. It still cleans my clothes. And I think some of living there and realizing that what the normal hair products and things I looked for were either different or just not available and I had to adjust and it still worked. I was like, "Oh yeah. Mhm. We can live without all of these chemicals." You know?
And even some, single ingredient things like shea butter is one I've been using recently, or argan
Oh,
oil, or some of these types of things
yeah.
where it's like it's not even a product in terms of like a combination of ingredients. It's just pure ingredients that can be really, really helpful, and you don't even need all of these additives in some ways.
Such a good point too. Yeah, because I've switched from using I still have like some lotion available, like there's an Aveeno oatmeal one. I don't know. I researched it in one of our resources and it wasn't super great. So I switched to an organic, like I call it jojoba oil. Some people say jojoba, whatever it is, on my body. And it loves it. My body just like soaks it right up and doesn't have a scent. And I have like the bumps on my arms like some girlies have. And it's always softer after, and I could never get a normal product or even like a bump specific product to do that for me without leaving some smell or residue. So I'm like, guys, natural oil, what a
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
You know?
You don't need all the additives.
Yes, we don't. We don't.
Yes.
So, yeah, really good point that I think living over there for a year almost without me like consciously thinking about it helped me peel back and see that like I don't need everything I thought I did to be because I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac, I'm not gonna lie. So, I still sure they're not great. I love me my Lysol wipes after the gym on my phone and stuff. And I know it's just like killing chemicals, so picking and choosing a little bit. But I survived riding public transit without Lysol, for a year. So I was like, okay, I'll survive. We don't need to be so sterile. Like we do live in very sterile chemical environments nowadays, is what I read and consume as well.
Oh,
And the
that's so true. And we
toxic.
don't have to go down a whole rabbit hole of this, but additional research I've done related to gut health also was, talking about how, yeah, with people thinking everything needs to be so sterile and so
Yeah,
clean, you're not exposed to as many things in terms of just natural things that occur in the environment, which then can lead to problems with gut health. So, yeah, there are problems across the board in various areas here.
that's actually exactly what I read because I was like, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick. And they're like, you need to have some of that going through your body to build immunity, to know how to attack it. Because otherwise, yeah, if you haven't been exposed to something in 5 years, which would probably be kind of crazy, but we all did live through COVID, where we were in our houses for like what, 2 years. Then something's going to hit you, and it's just important. Like our bodies are meant to filter some of these natural things out and be resilient towards them. So we should talk about that on a future one, like gut health, because that's a big part of your journey as well. But like we should have you back and talk specifically about that because we love talking about tummies on this podcast.
We could absolutely do that. I wish I
Yeah,
didn't know as much as I do about gut health,
yeah,
but yes, we
that's
can
the
we could
journey.
absolutely go down that one sometime. That would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so tell us more. So we're out shopping or we're trying to look for the things. What should we look out for or look for in our
Yeah.
products?
So let's say first something to look out for,
Okay.
the word fragrance. If you see fragrance or parfum listed on the ingredients, that can be anything pretty much. That
Okay.
term, you can pretty much just say fragrance on your ingredient list and you don't have to disclose what it is. So it could be some toxic, concoction of ingredients, but you could just label it as fragrance. So if companies aren't willing to disclose what fragrance is, that's a little iffy there. Another thing, we touched on this earlier, but the whole greenwashing thing, again, just basically don't assume because something has an eco-y type, sounding title that it's going to be healthy for you, or that because it has leaves and flowers that it's, safe. All right, so the next one, these terms are really similar, but toxin-free versus non-toxic. So you want to look for things that are toxin-free because for something to be labeled as non-toxic, basically if it's toxic, that means 49% of the animals it was tested on died during the testing process. So that means if 48% of the animals were killed during the
Stop.
testing process, it could technically still be labeled as non-toxic. So you really want to look for toxin-free, not non-toxic.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Again, interchangeable, one would have thought.
Mhm,
Like
mhm,
natural organic. To learn that those were separate blew my mind. Okay. Toxin free. Free.
mhm.
Completely zero. Nothing.
Exactly, exactly.
Non-toxic. Just below half. And to hear
Huh?
they test on animals too, I'm like,
I know. It's yes, it's sad.
that is sad. Okay, that's a huge one. That's a huge one. Toxin free,
So even
people.
even just in your quick Google, if you're like, okay, I'm looking for, toxin-free eyeliner, make sure you're Googling toxin-free eyeliner, not non-toxic eyeliner.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think it really just kind of comes down to that ingredient transparency and then also looking for third-party certifications. I always like when I see those on products because then you know that a third party tested it. I mentioned the Green Guard Gold certified mattresses and things like that earlier.
Yep.
So, if you look for things that have these various certifications, you can make sure that these third parties have declared that this product is safe.
Yes. That's a huge thing for me is that third party verification. And I'm sure nothing is perfect in the world, but I learned that some brands actually have to pay to get that done, especially when they're first starting out. So I'm like, kudos, first of all, right? Like you are paying to prove through a third party. I mean, that sounds like it could be bad, but it's like they have to submit it themselves because they're not big enough to like, I don't know, have this be tested. But regardless, when I see third party for like food products and stuff, you still want to click into it and look into it. And I've been very impressed in recent years with how I've seen websites be very, again, like websites and brands, very transparent about like what their third party testing means. So every time I've looked into it, although sometimes those testing things can vary, the level of transparency. Sometimes they even post their like
Mhm.
certificate. You can download their certificate if you want. I just think that's huge and like a great checkpoint. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Third party testing for sure.
Yeah.
So I know we talked a little bit in the beginning about how you journeyed down this kind of toxin free living based on some very physical symptoms that you were having to your products. But what, maybe for someone who like me, for the most part, like if something doesn't give me a reaction, I'm like, it's probably fine, right? Until I learn that maybe it's not. So, what are some of those like big hitters as to why like being toxin free matters? You said like carcinogens and hormone disruptors. Can you tell us a little bit more about those different categories?
I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's really important where it's like I had that physical symptom, like you mentioned, that led me to research this. But if I hadn't, I mean, let's be real, like I probably would have gone down this road at some point because I just find this stuff fascinating and I love learning as much as I can about anything health and wellness related. But a lot of people, if they don't have these physical symptoms, they just assume that it's perfectly fine, which
Yeah.
I can't blame them for, right? So everyone listening to this has probably figured out by now that I love my numbers and my stats. So another one here, 168 is the average number of chemicals that women put on our bodies every day. So when you think of all the products we use, you wake up in the morning, you do your skincare routine, you put your makeup on, your deodorant, you wash your hair, hairspray, like all these different products we use, 168 is the average number of chemicals that you are exposing yourself to. And so when you think about if those 168 are containing things like carcinogens and endocrine disruptors, that's a lot that you're asking your body to fight off on a daily basis. So if you can make those products clean, it's going to have a huge impact on your health. Even if you're not seeing it today, it might be things that would show up in 30 years, but you're just asking your body to fight off so much less if you can make these products and these things you're using, especially the things you use every day, clean.
Yeah, that's actually a really great way to phrase that I haven't thought of before is it's something that your body is fighting then actively, right? Just through your skincare or just like it's another thing, like a little toxic kind of stress. Because part of me is like, yeah, there's always toxins flowing in our body, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, your immune system, I'm guessing, and like your cells are fighting that. So yeah, when it's just on you every day being absorbed into your skin, it's an extra level of fight that your body is having to do to keep you clean and cleared out.
Yeah, and I have even read, I would want to fact check this, so don't quote me on the numbers here, but this is one thing that I read was that when you put something on your skin, your body actually absorbs potentially up to 100 times more of whatever that is than if you were to eat it because you don't have things like your liver and kidneys there to filter it
Filtering
out,
it
which are meant
out.
to do that. So again, like
Yeah.
I would want to fact check that, but that is a stat that I read is that it's basically could be significantly worse for you to absorb these ingredients through your skin than if you even were to actually eat them.
That makes so much sense because don't they say that like skin is the largest organ on our
Mhm.
body? And yeah, like what is the protective barrier there? I would believe that totally because you don't have the same like filtration system. That's yeah, that's another good thing to think about for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned filtration systems. Like we filter our water, we pay attention to ingredients and things like that, but then it's
Yeah.
like, do we pay attention to what we're just absorbing through our skin?
Especially because I want to like a dewy glow, and so I'm like, it's fine, right? It's clean. So okay, 168 chemicals. Okay, so break it down. I'm sure some people might know this, but for those of you who don't know, a carcinogen, that means what?
Cancer causing.
Cancer causing.
Mhm.
Hormone disruptors.
So that's going to be throwing off your endocrine system. And so, yeah, that's throwing off your hormones. So there are these things called PFAS. There, you might have also heard of them as forever chemicals. And those are definitely linked to things like thyroid disease, cancer, decreased fertility, health problems, things like that. There have also been studies that show that women are significantly more likely to miscarry a child if they have been exposed to these forever chemicals.
Well,
And so people are probably thinking, like, oh, well, they're not in much, right? Wrong, unfortunately. They are in nonstick cookware, cleaning products, dental floss. That's what's coating the floss you're putting between your teeth.
really, I
Uh,
just bought dental floss. Dang it. And I bought a 3-pack. What? No. Okay, okay.
yeah, makeup, nail polish, furniture, some of those like fire retardant things on furniture, things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's everywhere, but I'm glad you
Well,
got a good deal on your dental floss.
ugh, I hope they're a return policy. Yeah, because when you said PFAS, I was like, I don't know that one. But forever chemicals, heck yeah, I do. I've researched the heck out of that. And it is. It's those things that are meant to stay. They're forever for a reason, right? Like they're not supposed to break down because they like I would imagine on furniture, it helps if you spill for it to like not sink into the fabric so you can wipe it off, right? Or your egg slides perfectly out of the pan when you forgot to put oil in it. Like that is a chemical. And that I'm sure the forever aspect of that is like it's not like you use it once and then it's gone. It's meant to stay and have staying power, so hence higher level of toxicity.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
bummer. I'm really set on this floss, you guys. I'm so bummed, especially because I was like 3-pack, better deal. Hit a girl up.
Well,
Dang.
I'll give a little plug here for Thrive Market. I got some PFAS free floss from Thrive Market and it works really well. So
Okay.
you can get it. You can find it. You just gotta use the right search terms.
Yes. Thrive Market PFAS free floss. Love it. Um, talk to us about glyphosate.
Ah, yes. Okay, so we will go back to the gut health realm here for a moment. So, you probably heard of Roundup. That is one of the primary pesticides used on foods in the United States. Glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, and it is banned or restricted in a number of countries, but the US is not one of them. It's very widely used here. And the thing that's extra scary about glyphosate is that it mimics glycine in your body, which then causes your body to store it rather than filtering it out through your liver and kidneys. So when you're eating these foods that aren't organic and that have glyphosate on them, your body is storing that glyphosate. And this buildup of it in your body, it can lead to things like cancer, leaky gut, autoimmune diseases, depression and anxiety. There have been studies showing it's linked to decline in brain health. So it's not good, and it's on all sorts of things that we eat here in the US,
Yeah.
and it destroys the gut microbiome, which is why I think a lot more people are starting to have gut problems these days than even
Mhm.
30, 50 years ago, unfortunately myself included. So it's just something to be aware of and something to know that when you're spending a little extra to buy organic, that's what you're avoiding.
Yeah. When I hear that, that's a very scary statistic because I think about how, yes, we are taxing our bodies by constantly exposing them to these toxins, but also the body is an incredible machine that is constantly filtering and regenerating. However, the fact that this is stored in the body, something to be aware of. And this is like, okay, a little bit of a side tangent I want to go down with you. Solely opinion, the organic debate. I'm gonna admit it's a privileged thing to say, right? Because I don't have a family to feed and I can afford right now to buy mostly organic where I can. And I wholeheartedly believe in it. But there's always the debate of like, well, the organic farm field is right next to the normal one. So there's going to be pesticides. There's going to be this. And it's like, well, yeah, nothing can be like pesticide free or toxin free. And you have to wash your vegetables and whatnot. But the levels are lower. And those organic practices, if they're truly certified organic, like I everything I've read, I've researched, I really believe in the power of purchasing organic if you can. Where do you fall in that?
I am the same largely because I have had a lot of gut health issues, and
Okay.
so for me, I mean, I have spent thousands of dollars, seeing doctors and doing things related to that. So for me, I'm like the little bit extra that I'm going to pay for organic. If I know that it's better for my gut, for me, it's an easy yes. I'm definitely willing to pay that extra knowing that I will feel better and yeah, that I'm not putting these things in my body that are going to be destroying the gut microbiome. And again, I think you said it really well. Like, I'm fortunate in that I am in a place where I can do that and I can spend a little bit extra on that for myself. And I know not everyone can,
Yeah.
but I think, it's up to each person to decide if it's worth it for them or not. For me personally, I have decided that I do it for absolutely everything? No, but for, a lot of just like the fruits and vegetables that you just grab, at least for those types of things, I do try, if possible, to buy organic for those.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of what would be considered the more budget friendly grocery stores doing a lot of organic. Like I do my bulk shopping at Aldi, and you kind of go up the scale from there, right? Like if I need to go to the more expensive grocery store for this. And my gosh, they have a plethora of organic meat, vegetables, fruit. I was going to say fish because they do have organic fish, but that's a whole separate tangent. Don't eat farm raised fish if you can help it. If it's certified organic fish, it's not wild caught, and that means therefore it is farmed. And whole nother episode, whole nother weird Brooke tangent that I have
We
feelings
really
about.
are gonna have to do a food
It
and gut health
is.
episode.
It's just there's so many layers, and I'm like you. I'm like, this is what I research in my free time. People are always like, "What do you think about this thing?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts. Do you actually want to
All
know?" But that being said, yeah, that's why I have a podcast. No, but yeah, I that just goes to show that yes, it's still it is. It's extra money and extra money, even if it's like 25, 50 cents, adds up, especially feeding a family. But I'm very happy to see that grocery stores are catching on more that that is important to people. And so you don't have to shop at Whole Foods to get organic. You can go to Aldi, you can go to Walmart. There are options to pick and choose. And I think especially when it comes to like well, I was gonna say like fresh fruits and veggies is where you really want to hit it, but honestly, meat and even like pastas and stuff, like lentil-based pastas, chickpea pasta is so popular nowadays. But I was reading something there too, like Banza, a really popular company, no shame on them, but they're not organic. So those chickpeas are probably sprayed with like if they've tested high for levels of glyphosate, is what I read. And I was like, bummer.
That is
But
disappointing because I love their I
I
love their gluten
know.
pasta.
I
That's too
know.
bad.
But that's okay. Aldi has a organic like red lentil one. I just bought 3 boxes. I don't know why I'm buying things in threes. I clearly don't think I'm gonna grocery shop for the rest of the summer, but there are options.
Yes. Okay. Second, I'm gonna second the shout out to Aldi. That's also where I do almost all of my shopping. And yes, their organic prices, I will say, I think they come pretty close to matching some of the non-organic prices at some of the more expensive grocery stores
Yes.
in town. So while it's, you go walk into Aldi, you look at the tomatoes, and yes, the organic one's a little bit more expensive than the non-organic one, but compared to other stores, I still think you can actually do it quite affordably there.
That's a great point too, is to price compare compared to other stores too,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah. I do you ever do that where sometimes I'll be like, I'll take a picture of something. I'm like, this might be cheaper there. It may not be. Like, and it doesn't from store to store, but that's a good point that I think Aldi typically comes in. My bill
Mhm.
is always under if I were to do my normal grocery shopping at another store. So
Definitely.
apparently
Yeah.
Aldi needs to be a sponsor, is what I've
I think
just
they do.
decided.
I think they do.
I didn't plan for this to be an Aldi supporting pod like episode, but here we are.
We
Um
love Aldi.
yeah. So okay, carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, glyphosate, anything else big label try to avoid this when you can that we want to talk about before we get into we're going to empower you with ways to do this. Don't get too sad.
Parabens are would be another one that you will
Oh,
see a lot of labels will say things like paraben free.
yeah.
So that's just another one you'll see on the labels. And but again, with all of these, it's like you don't need to have these list of ingredients to avoid memorize. You don't need to know all of this. There are tools out there that you can use and verifications you can look for that just show you, okay, this product's good, and you don't have to be an expert ingredient analyzer.
Yes. Let's talk about those products and resources. I love
Yes.
them so much. And
Take us out of the place of sadness and
yes, and into
sadness and
empowerment. Let's do
exactly.
it. Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so EWG. We have to talk about EWG.
Love 'em.
They are my go-to number one resource for researching all things related to toxin-free living. So they have a number of tools. I would highly recommend just digging around on the EWG website. They have some great tools out there. So they have one tool that's called the Skin Deep Database, and you can use that to look up the products that you're using. So, you can type in the name of the lipstick you're using or whatever it is, and it will rank that product with a number. So what you want is the lower numbers, and they make it really easy for you. The low numbers are green, the high numbers are red. So it's going to be a scale of 1 to 10. Your 1s and 2s, they're green, they're great, go for it. Your 9s and 10s are going to be red. Those are products to stay away from. And then if you want to learn more, they do break it down. They'll list all the ingredients. They'll rate each ingredient on a scale of 1 to 10. And then if you click on it, they will have a description of why that ingredient is what it is. So if it's a 9 or a 10, why? Is it a carcinogen? Is it an endocrine disruptor? So you can start kind of doing some of your own research and seeing, why these products get the ratings that they get.
Yeah.
And I think it's just very helpful. It's so transparent, and you're really able to see why certain ingredients and certain products are bad for you and should be avoided.
Yes. I think they even have, like, you can click on it and see ingredient by ingredient the rating. And sometimes it's even just like, it's a no, it could cause allergy. It could be a
Yeah.
sensitivity. So they really go down, like, it's not even just the heavy hitters, which is what we're out here for. But if you are sensitive skin, sensitive system, they even go down to that granular level, which I also really appreciate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they also have something called their EWG verified database. So these are going to be your top of the top products. So they will only show you products that meet their super strict standards. And this isn't just cosmetics. So they have baby products, they have hair care, cleaning products, mattresses, sunscreens. They have all kinds of different categories, and you can click and go through their verified database, and you can be like, okay, I'm looking for some healthy sunscreen. Go to the EWG their database of their verified products, and you can see a whole list of sunscreens. It'll have buttons on the right side of the screen that might say, buy on Amazon or whatever it is,
Oh,
wherever you
cool.
want. And then you can just directly go out and research those products and read the reviews and see if it's something you want to try.
Yes. Yeah, because I've always I've looked things up and then I've read reviews. That's exactly my process, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it clean by my standards, by their standards? Yes. Okay, now I'm gonna read reviews because, unfortunately, sometimes natural based things, like depending on, again, I'm thinking more cosmetics, right? Like if you have oily skin, it doesn't mean just because it is clean, it's gonna work great. Sunscreen's different too, depending on, are you using it just to lay around or to play sports where it's running down your face,
Mhm.
whatever it might be. So that whole review process step,
Yeah.
I think it's fun. Maybe other people find it annoying, but oh my gosh, nowadays you have to watch for, the reviews on the company websites because half the time they have to label them as promoted, but Reddit forums, TikTok, I mean, it's all out there. It's a whole, talk
Yes.
about rabbit holes. Oh my gosh. But yes, I love, 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 love EWG. They are the reason that I really went heavy with Biossance and I made that switch because they are EWG certified, that top everything. They even have it on their website, but I saw it's like not only is it submitted for testing and it looks pretty good, it's like no, it passed that gold standard. So I was like, heck yeah. So I can plug Biossance. I really, really do like their products and they're clean. So they work and they're clean.
Yes,
What more
Brooke
do we
has
want?
recommended Biossance to me as well, and I will second that. And it's amazing finding these brands where it's like for them, you can go to their website and anything that you buy, it's going to be clean. So it's amazing when you
Yes.
find those. It eliminates the need to I don't need to research Biossance products. I can just read the reviews on if people like them, and I know I'm good to go.
So true. Yep. That's a
Yeah.
huge thing. So yes, EWG, they have, I always look it up online, like the Skin Deep database and that, but don't they have an app too that you can scan stuff?
I believe they definitely do have an app. I have never used it.
Okay.
But yeah,
You
they
always
definitely
go via the computer.
that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I mean, I'll just search it on my phone still sometimes too if I'm in the store, but I have never used that. But
Yeah.
perhaps I should give it a shot.
If someone
Yeah.
does and you like it or don't, let us know. But yeah,
Yeah,
I do too. Like in the store, I'll be like Googling EWGs or like on
exactly.
this new thing.
Exactly what I do. I Google the name of the product, EWG, search.
Yes. It's
Yes.
brilliant.
And they have I will say they have a huge database. They have a ton of products in there. But if they don't, another tool that I absolutely love, it's called CosDNA, COSDNA.
Mm,
And they have a really cool tool. They have some tabs at the top of the screen, and one of them is an Analyze Cosmetics tab. And you can just copy and paste a list of ingredients into there, and then it will basically do the same thing EWG does, where it gives you a list of all of the ingredients and a rating for each product. So it'll
really?
say, ingredient A is a 1, ingredient B is a 9, and you can look at it that way. So then the product itself doesn't have to be in their database, but they'll just be able to look up, pull all of the ingredients for you, so you can kind of do your own analysis that way.
That's super nice because I do think EWG, and to no fault of their own, like there are some products that they will list like the how do they say it? It's like data availability is low. So maybe these people aren't submitting all of their products. They submit their top 3 selling products to get the review and then everything else like the website has it, but it's not as, robust in what you can click through. And that's really cool though that this is kind of separate from the brand having to be in the middle of that and it's just like plug in the ingredients and go.
hmm
Yeah.
So yeah, I would highly recommend. Those are kind of the two for me. I'll usually start with EWG,
Hmm.
and then if I am not happy with the amount of, research or whatever I was able to do on EWG, then I'll just jump over to CosDNA and do the quick analyze cosmetics there, and then I'm usually able to get a really clear picture of what's in the product.
Yeah. Oh, okay, love it. Two really good resources and we'll link those in the show notes for you guys too.
Brooke, you mentioned the EWG app. There's one more app I want to mention that I have downloaded. I haven't used it a ton, but it seems like could be a really helpful tool. Yuka, Yuka. This is an app that has a barcode scanner in it. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can use it to scan cosmetic products, but you can also use it to scan foods. So you can be in the grocery store and, pull out 2 bags of the pre-cooked frozen chicken, and you can scan both of them and it will pull up and tell you what's in them and how it'll give it a
Oh,
rating from 1 to 100, and it will tell you how healthy this product is. And so it's a super easy way without even having to search anything on your own. You can just use the scanner and you can look up ingredients that way.
I love anything with a barcode scanner. It makes it so much easier.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Yuka, that's another great one. So that's an app that you can download. Is it free?
The main version is free, and
Okay.
then I believe you pay it might even be a donation based payment. I'm not positive
Hmm.
of like however much you want to pay them for access to, I believe it's their to use their check out their full database, I think, of all of their ratings of different products, I believe. So that would be so you could go and search by, sunscreen and look up all of the lists of sunscreens or things like that,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. But there definitely is a free version available.
Sweet. All right. So EWG, Cos DNA,
Hmm
like cosmetics, and
Yep.
then Yuka,
Yep.
YUKA. Okay.
Those are 3 great tools to get you started.
Yeah, thank you. And I know we talked about not, I want to say trusting, which maybe that's a harsh thing to say, but like not totally trusting marketing, right? Because greenwashing is a thing. But certain stores now are also recognizing that people want clean ingredients, like especially in the cosmetic, like Sephora and stuff. So that's something that we can look to as well, right? Like those labels. I know they're different at different stores.
Yes, and I think that is actually a really easy way to get started with going more toxin free is if you don't want to do all of the research, there's still labels you can look for in stores that are at least going to point you in the direction of things that are better.
Mm.
So I do a lot of my shopping for cosmetic products at Ulta. So Ulta, for example, they have their Conscious Beauty at Ulta. So
Mm.
if you look for that label on a product, I mean, it still might not hit EWG's top standards, but you know that this is a better product that you're buying. Sephora has Clean at Sephora. So,
Yes.
that's something you can look for there. And then there's places I mentioned Thrive Market earlier where it's again, you can go and you just can feel confident that anything that you're getting there, it's going to be better than what you're just going to get if you were just randomly picking products off the shelves at the store. They have a higher standards at Thrive Market. Another one that might surprise people is IKEA. They hold themselves to more of the European standards. So again, you can go into the stores and if you buy, shelves or bed or whatever, like you can pretty much know that the coatings that they have on them and the wood they're using and things like that, it's going to be healthier than something you
Yeah.
might get at Walmart or Amazon or something like that. So
Yeah.
IKEA is another one. I've gotten mugs from them and some of their silverware and things like that. They just have healthier ingredients that they use. So I think it's exciting when you find these places where you can kind of go in and actually just shop and not have to think
Yes.
about what's in everything. And you can just go in and be like, okay, I can shop at IKEA, or I mentioned Target earlier. I can go to Target, and if it has an Okotex certification, I'm good. I can just buy it and I can feel good about it. And I don't have to do any additional research.
Totally. Yeah, because for some things, like we said, the research can be fun or it's just a little more necessary depending on the product. But yeah, sometimes you're like, I just need mugs or I just
Yeah,
need a
yeah.
lamp or like I don't know, and you don't want to
Yeah.
have to like go into a hundred different
Mhm,
things. So
mhm.
that's really cool. Okay, IKEA and then yeah, more of the not mainstream because IKEA is mainstream though we don't have one near us. That's why
I
I'm
wish
like,
we
what's
did. I wish
mainstream?
we did.
Target. I oh my gosh, I know, me too. Yeah, okay, that's a really good one. So we've kind of talked about resources you can use to research, places you can go. Give our listeners a handful of products if you have them that like you love that are game changers for you in this toxin-free living.
So you mentioned the laundry detergent you've been using earlier. I have a laundry detergent that I also love. It's called Attitude is the brand, Attitude laundry detergent. And I also have the really sensitive skin where I will get a rash if I'm using laundry detergent that has fragrance or things added to it. And so I love this one. It works great. I don't get a rash. It has cute little penguins on the bottle. So it's
Yes.
everything you could ask for in a laundry detergent.
I do really like Attitude. I have a couple of their cleaning products because I was looking them up at one point as well. And yeah, I don't know. I know I said this earlier, but like laundry is especially like playing sports and being active, you want to make sure stains, smells, all of that, like your clothes feel washed. And I use a powdered version of Molly's Suds. I know that's another popular one, but it's like the fragrance free. And again, it's like four ingredients. I'm like, what is this going to do? It's great. Like I pull my clothes out, they smell clean. And before, after the gym, you notice, but they don't have a fragrance. And I've come to actually enjoy that because then if I want to wear perfumes or things, like I'm also not fighting it, which should I be wearing perfumes during this conversation? I still do. We pick and choose, guys. But
Can, can we talk about perfume for a second?
yeah, let's
Because
do it.
I have a perfume that I absolutely love that I would highly
And
recommend
it's
for,
clean.
yes. So the brand is Henry Rose.
Okay.
And at the time that I bought it, it was the only perfume that was EWG verified, cradle to cradle certified, and Leaping Bunny certified. So this is super clean perfume. So you can still smell great and you can feel great about wearing it. So
Yes.
highly recommend checking out Henry Rose. They have little samplers they can send you so you can test out all the scents and see which ones you like
That's
and then
huge.
buy them. But I'm wearing it today. I absolutely love it. So
Oh,
would recommend checking their stuff out.
okay. And so you bought them via a website or did you find them at like Sephora or something?
I bought it straight from their website. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if they are in stores like Sephora or Ulta or not, but yeah, I would highly recommend because we all know it's nice to smell good, right? We don't have to
It
give that up,
is.
but we can
Yes.
find a clean version.
Oh, I love that. Okay, Henry Rose. And the fact that they send samples is so big, right? Because
Yeah.
like different
Yeah.
scents are different on different people.
Exactly, exactly.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you don't want one of those where you order it and then you're like, I smell like a cleaning product. So
Yes, exactly. Or like I know they say like the different like undertones of things can stick to some people more. So sometimes I'm like, this smells great like on this person, and then on me, I'm like, I smell like my grandma. Like I don't know. Like the baby powder smell loves to stick to me, and I'm like, I don't understand. This is not what I was going for.
random little side tangent on that. My sister and I were in a store last weekend. We were trying some of the perfumes, and she tried one, and she's like, "This smells like old lady." And then she tries another one. She's like, "This smells like a porta potty." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh, like the smell, like the like clean smell in a porta potty.
Yes.
I was like that." And so then we're going around. She's like, "I smell like an old lady in a porta potty,"
Oh,
which is not what anyone wants to go for.
not
But
at all. And it's so funny. It's two very distinct smells,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like the old lady kind of like powder, and then yeah, like the blue liquid in a porta
yes,
potty.
yes,
Oh gosh, I would hate to be the maker of that perfume. Gives porta potty.
yes.
But they
Yeah.
do sometimes, or sometimes out of the bottle, I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I like spray it on me and I'm walking around and I'm like, I start to just like get overwhelmed and gag. I'm like, this is not like, I tried one that was like pistachio something and I was like, this could be soft. No,
Yeah.
I walked around smelling like frosting and I was like, bleh. It was just too much. So, but at least it
Uh,
wasn't grandma porta potty. Yes. Okay. So yeah, hit us with some more.
Okay, so I talked about the dog grooming industry and all of that earlier, but a dog shampoo that I love is from Four Legger. It's the number 4 dash Legger, and their website was actually an awesome resource for learning about just clean ingredients in pet care.
Oh, cool.
So love their stuff. It smells really good. It works really well, and I'm no longer washing my dog with formaldehyde. All wins there. The kitchen, I think, is a huge place to talk about as far as
Mm,
like favorite things there. So I got rid of all of my nonstick cookware and I replaced all of it with cast iron and just pure stainless steel. That is, yeah, if you want to look into what's in Teflon and the nonstick cookware, that is not good. They actually made a movie about it. I haven't seen it. Dark Waters, I believe it's called. But that is, yeah, that's not good stuff in the nonstick cookware. Works great, but it's not healthy for you. So
yeah.
I think just switching to things like I love cooking in cast iron, so that's one of my new favorites. But I made it a goal for me personally to pretty much just go plastic free in my kitchen. So I pretty much have, cast iron, stainless steel, glass, silicone for utensils and things like that. And
Mhm.
that's pretty much it. So you can find a lot of great products that just don't have all of these, plastics and things like that in it.
Yes. And I know there's a learning curve, right, to cooking with some of these things, like, cast iron, how you wash it, care for it, sometimes how you have to like season it, it's called at first.
Yep.
And then as well, I don't have stainless steel, but I know that too. It's like you have to let the whole thing heat up to a certain you can't just like
Yeah.
turn it on and go because that's when things will stick. So like
Yeah.
have you found that transition easy enough?
Yes. So actually, I'm glad you brought this up. So on my website, my health coaching website, so my health coaching website is wellandfreecoaching.com. So well, the word and written out, freecoaching.com. And I have a whole bunch of information on there about toxin-free living, and I have it broken down on each page by like cleaning or kitchen or, things like that.
Awesome.
On the page that has stuff relating to cooking in the kitchen, I included a little guide on there with information about cooking with cast iron and stainless
Oh,
steel. So it
beautiful.
has things like you were just talking about with the water droplet tests that you do on stainless
Yes.
steel to make sure it's heated up enough to make that your stuff's not going to stick to it.
Mhm.
So I have all sorts of product recommendations on there because I realized I spent a lot of hours going through everything that I owned and trying to switch as many things to non-toxic or toxin-free, got to use the correct
Yep.
verbiage there, as possible. But I realized that other people are not going to be able to put that much time and research into it, and nor do I want everyone to do that. So I put all kinds of products on my website that people can look at and get ideas from and know that these are ones that I've researched. I will say, like, still do your own research. I might have missed something in my research. I think it's still important for each person to decide what's healthy for them. But if you're looking for a place to start, I have a whole bunch of different products and recommendations on there and information about things like cast iron and stainless steel as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's huge to save people that time and the rabbit holes of research and everyone's like individual opinion that then you go to the bottom of the page and you're like, "Oh, you're sponsored by them. Thank you for that." So, wrapping up for today, if someone listening to this podcast, they've heard the bad, they've heard the good, they heard, what they can do to start making changes. What would be your biggest piece of advice for someone trying to go toxic free or make steps in that direction?
I feel like the biggest thing I would say is don't overwhelm yourself with being like, I need to change everything today. You
Mhm.
can just make changes as you run out of products. So, as you run out of your dish soap, replace it with a toxin-free dish soap. As you run out of, your moisturizer, make a swap there. So I don't think you need to go out and change everything today. But I think the other thing too is when you are deciding what you want to change or what you want to start with changing, I would recommend starting with the things that you use the most frequently and also the things especially when it comes to cosmetic products and things like that that cover the most surface area. So, if
Mhm.
you're slathering lotion all over your whole body, that's probably something you want to prioritize over the blush that you just put on your cheeks or something like that. So you can think of it in terms of frequency and how much use it gets. And I feel like that's a good way kind of just to get you started, start getting into it. But again, just don't feel like you need to go out and change everything today because that's overwhelming and you can certainly make these changes over time.
Yeah, that really good pieces of advice there because number one, yeah, like let's say, like me, you just bought all this floss and you're like, are you kidding me? Like maybe I shouldn't throw away $9 worth of floss. I like that idea of as you run out, make a change, frequency, and then, yeah, like surface area, use, or even I I would imagine falls into that too, like, okay, value-based system, right? Like if you are less of a cosmetic-y user, but you're like, I cook all my meals, maybe
Mhm.
you take that avenue of starting to buy more organic or vice versa.
Absolutely. Or, the next time that you're gonna replace your pillow,
Yeah,
get a healthy pillow. That's something that you're gonna be sleeping on for 8 hours every night. Just things like that that are as you run out, and if you find that it's something that you use frequently, those would be the things to prioritize.
I love that. So, how can people learn more about you and the coaching? You told us about your website, but just if people want to get more information on toxic free living or even just general health coaching with you, what would you like them to know?
Yeah, so as far as toxin-free living, if you're looking to get more information on that, I mean, there are all sorts of resources out there that you can dive into and start learning about that. But I do have quite a bit of it on my website. Like I said, there's a whole toxin-free living section. If you want to start there, that could be a place you could start. And then in terms of coaching, I'm happy to talk to anyone who wants to learn more about what coaching is, or if they think that it's something that might be a good fit for them, or if anyone is looking for help with going toxin free, I'm happy to help with that as well. I can certainly provide some one on one help there. So there is a contact form on my website if anyone wants to reach out, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with anyone who wants to learn more.
Very good. Yeah, and we will link Lauren's website and information again in the show notes and on our social media so you guys can get in touch with her because you do not have like Instagram social media, so the website would be the way to reach you.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of your information and just having a fun conversation with me today. And we will definitely bring you back because I'm really stuck on like a gut health specific show too now. Like it's the seeds planted. It's got to happen.
That would be fun. I would love to do that. And thank you so much for having me. This was great. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share this. Hopefully people found it helpful, and it was just really fun getting to chat with you, Brooke. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Send us some DMs and do reach out to Lauren. She's an amazing resource and a wonderful coach. I know that very well. So, yeah, we'll have her back and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Talk to you later.